Hello, listeners of the Grand Prix Podcast. This is Elton here. I'm just checking in with you just to forewarn you that we made a slight edit to this episode. Myself and Andy were rambling on as we normally do, and we somehow ended up doing a mid-season review. Now, that went on for about 45 minutes. So what I've done, I've chopped that out, and that's going to be a separate episode after this, probably the week after. So what you'll hear is us diving into it ever so gently and then diving out of it ever so gently, and to continue on with the Hungarian review and our predictions, etc. So what I'll do, I'll put together a mid-season review. I'll have it introing and outroing just to, remind you of what's actually going on, because it'd be a shame to do that 45 minutes and then just dump it and then have to do it all over again, and then it won't be as spontaneous as what it normally is. So I hope you don't mind us doing this. I'm sure you'll be thankful in the long run for not having a 3-hour plus podcast, because towards the end of this one, I was getting a wee bit tired. Yes, I was being very brave, but yes, still a wee bit tired. So I'll probably jump in, just to remind you that's where it's happening. And then hopefully we'll see you once the mid-season break is over in Belgium. So thank you very much for your patience, and we'll see you next time out. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, this is Andy.
Hello.
And we have the 2018 Hungarian Grand Prix to report on.
Oh, yes.
I'm looking forward to this one because I don't know if there'll be varying differences as to what we think of what happened in this race. I suppose we could get initial reports or initial impressions on it. So
we could.
What were your first initial impressions of the race?
I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say probably I enjoyed it about as much as I enjoyed the German Grand Prix.
Okay, I get that, yeah. Okay, cool. I think I'm on... No, because I didn't enjoy the German as
you didn't
much,
like
did
it.
I?
You were quite critical, as I recall.
Okay.
Didn't like it.
I enjoyed it more than the German. It's a middling race. It's this is how I would like boring races to be.
Right.
I'm quite happy with this.
So are you saying this was a boring race?
I'm not saying this was boring, but it lulled in certain spots. But I'm quite happy with what we got. Very confusing. But
Little bit, yeah.
I'm sure we get into that very, very soon.
Possibly.
So, in the week between the German and Hungarian Grand Prix, was there any news at all?
It's quite a bit of news, and we start off with some sad news.
Mm-hmm.
So we may as well get this out of the way. Sergio Marchionne, the former CEO and head of Fiat and Ferrari, tragically passed away.
Yeah.
As a result of complications from surgery he'd had. I think this was pretty unexpected. Even though they'd announced a replacement the week before, and I think we covered that during the German one. But yeah, it's just he went in for some shoulder surgery and died. So very sad.
Yeah, he's only 66, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing these days, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, and that was a bit of a cloud. I think it's possibly going to have some pretty big repercussions down the line, because he was very bullish up against FOM. He was certainly leading the charge of bow to our will or Ferrari will go its own way. And I believe this podcast potentially, but certainly me personally, have been quite vocal in the either shit or get off a pot to Ferrari, and I don't know if the new CEO is going to be the same or not. We'll have to wait and see. But with the 2021 regulations still to be decided and everything, and Ferrari presumably having a big say in that, I'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah. We were getting reports that something had happened in Germany, weren't we?
Well, like I said, we knew that he was supposed to retire at the end of the year.
Yep.
It was suddenly brought forward to saying, no, he's retired now and here's a replacement. So they haven't announced anything officially.
Yeah.
But my understanding is he never woke up from the surgery. So,
well, yeah, that's what I heard. He was put into an induced coma, but everyone was very solemn when they were talking about it last week at the German Grand Prix. It was all very solemn, and it was, guys, there might be a bit of bad news about this, and that's the vibe I got from people anyway. So, yeah, thoughts and prayers go out, I suppose.
Very much so, very much so. And there was a number of cars wearing like some sort of Remember Sergio or black bands or things like that, like they did. Strangely enough, I didn't see any on the Ferraris themselves. I saw it on the Haas. I'm not saying it wasn't there on the Ferrari, I just didn't see it.
It was on the race suits.
Okay.
Everyone had a black armband on their race suits or fire overalls or just a loose band anyway.
Because I remember a while ago, didn't Ferrari paint the nose of their cars black?
That was 9/11, yeah.
Was that 9/11? I remember. I don't know.
Oh, was it when the Pope died? No, was it when the Pope died?
I don't know. I know
think it was 9/11.
When Jules Bianchi died as well, they did some liveries. I'm not making any judgments. It's just, I didn't notice anything, but I did see on the back of the Haas, on top of the airbox, they had a little RIP Sergio.
Yeah.
So there you go. Tragic passing of Sergio Marchionne there. We have other news though, so we'll continue on with that. The Miami F1 race has been delayed now until 2020.
That's not going to happen.
Really, I don't think the delay surprises anyone. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see what happens there.
With the Miami Grand Prix, did you have a look at the circuit that they proposed?
I saw the initial thing they proposed, yeah.
Because there's no real where to actually have a race.
I imagine they'd probably try and do what they did with Singapore. I think they'll have to do some major construction, probably build a semi-permanent pit lane structure, and we'll see. But I just don't, like you, I don't see that happening. Not without major investment. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, there was talk of having it over the bridges, and then you look, well, why the hell not just do it all the way down the Keys? That'd be great. Just having one long straight down the Keys, and then you think, well, if a car breaks down, where are you going to crane it? Where's the crane live? It doesn't live anywhere, does it?
It's, I think it's a good story, wanting to run a race in Miami. But much like the race in New Jersey, much like the race in London, much like all these things, it's just not going to happen. So,
yeah,
I think Formula E kind of has the whole doing races in city centres tied up, because it's a lot less intrusive in terms of noise pollution and pollution.
Yeah,
it's not quite as big an event in terms of people in attendance, and that sort of thing. And you don't have the same level of infrastructure, so it's easy to rock up into a town, do it, get out without massive disruption. Can you imagine in London having to close down a good part of the city for 4 days, 5 days effectively? And I know people always say, well, we manage it for the marathon or the Tour de France or whatever. No, we don't. The marathon might take place over a Sunday, but they pretty much just erect the barriers midday on Saturday onwards. This is talking, you've got Thursday we've got Thursday setting up, Friday for practice, Saturday for qualifying, and then Sunday for the race. And getting out there. All those trucks, or everything like that, I just don't see it happening. So,
yeah, I've been to the marathon a couple of times, and by the time we're ready to leave, there's people clearing the roads, spraying the lines off the roads, and gathering up the barriers as well. So, yeah, that's... It's there for the day, but once the day has disappeared, then it's pretty much clear.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Okay. But races which might happen, apparently Charlie Whiting has been to the Assen circuit in the Netherlands, where they hold the Dutch TT for MotoGP, for the views of a possible Dutch Grand Prix in the next year or two.
Oh, I wonder why.
I cannot possibly imagine. It's strange, that.
Yeah.
Very, very strange. But apparently Charlie Whiting says, barring a few minor tweaks, the circuit is fully up to code for Formula One.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, and I've seen Assen from MotoGP and World Superbikes. It's a great circuit for those. Don't know quite how it would deal with Formula One cars, but it's given some very good MotoGP races. I don't think they've ever raced Formula One at the Assen circuit though, so
not on my watch, definitely.
No. So the hopes for there is potentially 2020 or 2021. So that'd be very cool. I mean, we've seen the orange barmy army following around Max Verstappen. So
which I love. I think that's brilliant.
Did you see the bit at the end on Ted's notebook today?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with the speakers and
the speakers having a rave in the grandstand. It's like everyone else has gone home except this one grandstand full of Max Verstappen fans.
I love it. Why not? You've got nothing else to do for the rest of the day. Just do it.
Absolutely. That is totally the kind of attitude I think they want to see, and that's the kind of enthusiasm they want to see. So, and I'd love to see a race up there. So that'd be fantastic. I just don't want to see it at the expense of another great race. You know, I mean, drop one of the duds. You know, maybe Monaco perhaps, and do it instead. So,
God, you're a fucker.
Yeah, you didn't see that one coming a mile away.
No, I didn't. No, not one bit. Crying out loud. That was like a 2-footed tackle on me. That was.
Okay, still a bit more news, unfortunately. And this is interesting news. We'll see where this goes. Force India has gone into administration.
Yes, I heard about this, yes.
And what's interesting is it was kind of bought by Sergio Perez.
Well, okay, right. Let's go along the information we both have on this, yeah?
Right. Uh-huh.
So what have you heard or what have you got on this?
Well, so for those who don't know, Force India, primarily owned by Vijay Mallya, allegedly shady businessman. I said allegedly, so it's allowed. He's been trying to sell it for at least for last year, possibly longer. Has had a couple of bids, but has rejected them, saying they're not offering enough money, or they doesn't view as enough of a long-term plan or anything like that. I don't know what the deal is. And this has been ongoing for a little while now. And Sergio Perez brings a lot of sponsorship in from Mexican companies. You've also got Mercedes effectively subsidizing the team with engines and gearboxes.
Yep.
And what transpired is BWT, the main sponsor with the pink branding, hasn't so much been sponsoring the team as in giving them a loan, which is interesting. Don't quite know how that works. Don't know what the ins and outs of that is. But in exchange for the sponsorship and everything, Perez is paid a salary, like personally paid a salary.
Yeah. And
that hasn't happened for a while. So him and his management team, along with Mercedes, along with BWT, have, and I don't know how this works quite, but they've effectively forced the company into administration. Now, the company's not insolvent because they were insolvent, they're not allowed to race. But while they're in administration, effectively, the running of the team is taken over by the administrators now. So it's taken out of the hands of Vijay Mallya and other shareholders that might be. And it's now down to the administrators to decide what's best for the team as a whole, to try and sell it off to recoup money for investors. So I suspect we're going to see a much quicker sale of Force India if there are people interested in it.
Right, okay. From my news that I have on this, it's there was money not paid from somewhere, and one of the shareholders wanted to liquidate Force India straight away. So that means by Wednesday, Force India would not have existed.
And they wouldn't be allowed to race. No one would be paid. It's a very messy business.
Yeah. And because of that, then Sergio got involved in this. And because he's, I wouldn't say he's a shareholder, but somehow he's got really wrapped up and involved in this. And he's become not one of the administrations, but he's kind of forced it into administration to save jobs.
Yeah, to stop the company being liquidated.
So, from that news, I don't think it's Sergio causing this problem at all.
Oh, no, not at all. When I say it's interesting, it's interesting that the drivers pulled the pin.
Right.
You know, it's you usually think of a driver as being a somewhat more passive force. You know, they're more of employees. But this kind of reminds me of the old days when you had like Brabham running the team and driving it as well. Or even McLaren back when it started out with Bruce McLaren.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. It's I think it will be sold.
Yep.
Or it's certainly, you know, I don't think the team itself is going away. I think definitely next year it will have a new name.
Well, there's rumours that maybe by Belgium it might have a new name.
I don't know if if FOM or FIA, whoever, will let them change their name mid-season. Because if you recall back to Marussia,
yeah,
or was it Manor? Yeah, it was when Manor bought Marussia, but it was after they'd already submitted all the paperwork and everything. They had to still race as Manor Marussia.
That's right. Yes,
Marussia weren't anything to do with it, so I don't think they can change the name. Then they can change the legal company name.
Yeah.
So it could become, you know, Force One or whatever they want to call themselves, you know, PLC.
Mm.
But their entry would still be Force India. But then next season, I think they'll change the names.
Okay.
But I don't want to see them going anywhere. They're doing, you know, well, they're not doing as well as they did last year, probably because of all this hanging over them. But they've had a few years of instability, so it'd be nice to see them sort it out.
Yeah, the last couple of years they've been pretty good. They've been the best of the rest of after the top three teams, haven't they?
Oh yeah, they've been winning the Formula B championship every time.
Yeah, but I think they've dipped, maybe as you say, because of this stuff going on in the background. But yeah, I don't want them to go.
No.
Well, nobody wants them to go anyway. So
I love the Pink Panthers. It's cool.
And we have to have 20 cars on the grid. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So do you think either Toto Wolff or Mercedes might buy this team?
Potentially. I mean, because Toto used to have shares in Williams.
Yeah.
So potentially we could see that happening. It wouldn't surprise me to see Mercedes want more of a B team, especially now Ferrari have cultivated relationships with Haas and with Sauber.
Yeah.
I certainly think it benefits, but we'll see. You know, Williams are not really doing anything for Mercedes at the minute, so I suppose Force India are kind of their best option to pick it up cheap. But then again, we don't know if Mercedes necessarily want to stick around post 2020, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's the decision, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. We will see. We will see. We've got some more news.
Yep.
Just touch upon it quickly. Just want to find out. Where was this stuff? So yeah, we've got some behind the scenes circus shenanigans. The technical director from Toro Rosso, James Key, was announced as moving to McLaren, and then Toro Rosso announced, "Oh no, he's not." So don't quite know what's going on with that just now.
Okay.
It seems there were negotiations going on, and McLaren apparently jumped the gun, at least before Helmut Marko was satisfied that it was time to say anything. And Zach Brown is confident things will be sorted out before too long. But Marko's saying that Key has a contract until 2020 and intends to see him see it out. So don't know. He's supposedly going to McLaren as the technical director, but I don't know. It's just I've given up trying to figure out what's going on at McLaren.
I have as well. I think some people at McLaren may have as well.
Yeah, quite definitely.
It feels like that, definitely. So.
I think that is it for the news I had.
Okay, cool.
So yeah.
Well, I might as well crack on with FP 1, 2, and 3, I suppose, and then go on to the qualifying, because
works for me.
I felt the qualifying, there was a lot going on in the qualifying. There was I thought it was one of the better sessions of the year.
Ooh. Sorry. Bit of news, just remembered, because I've just seen his face pop up. Not so much confirmed news, so much as strong rumours that no one is denying, so potentially true, in terms of driver movement for next year.
Okay.
So Esteban Ocon is going to be moving to Renault.
Yep.
Mercedes have said they're not going to stand in the way of him moving to a works team, because, you know, he's a Mercedes driver. but there's nowhere for him to go, especially with Lewis and Bottas signed up. Still think Lewis might retire. I'm not saying he will, I'm saying he might, but it's different, besides the point. But with nowhere clear for him to go, he wants to be in a works team. The situation for Sainz is no one really knows what's going on. Sainz wants to stay with Renault if he can.
Yep.
But his contract is with Red Bull, and it's kind of down to them to do it. Plus, you've got Hülkenberg in there as well, who I personally rate higher than either of them, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep.
So Ocon going to Renault and replacing him at Force India, Lance Stroll. Or if I might be slightly more cynical, the paycheck from Lance Stroll's dad.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe they can hear the loose change rattling in his race suit.
Quite definitely, possibly. So who knows? So yeah, that's as we know, no rumor is confirmed until it's officially denied, but everyone seems to think that is a done deal.
Yeah, I feel like we should get some a playing card set full of all drivers' faces, and then have the teams, and then just sit down and swap them around.
Or better yet, we need one of those big boards when we'll get like bits of string going between bits and a map, and we can kind of like point bleary-eyed at it and say, "You see, there's a pattern here."
Yeah. Just have one solitary spotlight shining on it.
Yeah. So it's a bit like the Panini cards, isn't it? It's got, need.
Oh
got,
man, do you know?
got.
At the beginning of this season, I was saying to Panini and Topps as well, they should get like a sticker album for this lot.
Yeah.
It'll be great. I think it'll be great. It'll be smaller than the World Cup one, but nobody wants to be robbed of 700 bloody quid plus for that, do they?
I think Panini do.
Well, of course they do. Yeah. Yeah. They're still suckers trying to fill that bastard at the moment. But I think, oh man, I would buy it straight off.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't, but you know.
I would, yeah. And then in the middle, you'd have like a fold-out gatefold thing which you could fill in. Oh, I was such a kid sometimes. Mm-hmm. Most times. Oh, you shouldn't have mentioned it, man. You shouldn't have mentioned it. I blame you.
No, you're welcome. Anyway, you can get back to your FP1, 2, and 3.
Okay. Well, I watched FP1, 2, and 3. Nothing happened. There were some spins. There was some dust chucked up, and some people stopped. I think it was Hülkenberg stopped at one point, but there was nothing really to write home about. So that's it. I'm skipping it.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on. Qualifying. This is where all the action happened.
Oh, yes.
Because it was wet. And when I say wet, I mean wetter than Germany last week.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, some people went out in full wets last week, but you know, most of them had to go out in full wets on the Saturday this time round. So,
oh yeah, that was proper rain as well. None of this kind of slightly damp on the track.
No, exactly. Yeah. So in Q1 we had a wet session. It was at least half the circuit was dry enough for slicks, and there was thunder and lightning all around the air. But there was. Are
you saying there was thunderbolts and lightning?
It was very, very frightening.
Galileo.
Yes. Jesus Christ, you lost my place again. But there were a few back runners. Most people went out on the intermediates. Mm-hmm. And there were spots where you needed them, but most of the actual run on this circuit was dry, like we had in Germany last time out.
Yeah.
But then a few back runners jumped on the ultras and started scaring everyone else because their lap times started dropping. And I've written down the times that the lead changed once people started jumping on the ultras. So we had Sainz, then Magnussen, then Hülkenberg, Grosjean taking the lead, Kimi, Sainz again, Raikkonen again, then Vettel putting a fast lap, then Raikkonen, and then Hamilton, and then Vettel. So that's how many times that lead changed in that session. And that doesn't normally happen.
No, not at all. It's usually, it's maybe once or twice a swap around between, say, the Ferraris and the Mercedes, and that's it.
That's it, yeah. And then they'll stick their fastest lap in, maybe go for a second one, and then they're quite happily and quite easily through to the next session. So they just carry on, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So in the first bout, or Q1, we lost Sorokin, Perez, Ocon, Leclerc and Van Dorn. Notable, Force India being out.
Yeah, don't know if that was tied into what's going on.
I think it's a bit of bad luck, and I know Esteban Ocon had a brake problem as well. Yeah. So that was hampering him. So I don't think it's the goings on in the background that are really forcing them down the grid. If you got a good car, you got a good car. If you have bad luck, you have bad luck, don't you?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Q2, we had slight rain, and Vettel came out on inters. Everyone else was out on slicks, and this caught everyone by surprise, because Vettel actually chose correctly. You chose wisely. And so he put a fast lap in, and then was never really bothered about going out ever again. That was it. People came in for their slicks. Stroll lost his nose. Alonso and Ricciardo had, what did they do? They hit the full wets, but still didn't really make any impression, to the point where we thought that Ricciardo wouldn't even get through.
Yeah, it was, Red Bull just was not working in those conditions. No. And they spend so much time bigging up how good their chassis is, and so much time saying how they want wet races. It's the only way they can challenge the Mercedes and the Ferraris. And then when it shows up, the fuck are they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it got to the point where Daniel Ricciardo didn't actually get through in this session as well. He was trying to put as many fast laps in as possible. But if you're coming from a point where people have gone on to inters, and then the rain gets so heavy that you're on full wets, you ain't going to better that at all. It doesn't matter how slow your last lap was. You may better your previous lap, but you ain't going to get any faster than a person on inters in that condition. And less rain as well.
Yeah.
So we lost Stroll, Ericsson, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, and Alonso in that one.
Did you mention Stroll knocking his nose off?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he ended up spinning it. Very, it was a soft spin, I like to say.
If I may quote the Immortan Joe, it was mediocre.
It weren't a great one, was it? It was a clumsy... All wheels locked. Oh dear, I'm still moving. Oh no, here's a barrier. Barrier's getting closer. Oh, nuts.
The weird thing is, that was their new wing.
Oh, Jesus.
The new front wing. They've had it for 4 weeks, and it was still the only one they had. Or the only one Stroll had. Sorokin had one as well.
Right.
But they only had one apiece. You'd think in the 4 weeks they'd have made more than 2.
Well, yes. And you would also think you might save it for the race.
Well, you see, that's part of Parc Fermé rules.
Yes.
You have to race with the wing you qualify on, or at least
the
equipment. So if it's a different spec wing, you're out of Parc Fermé, and that's why he had to start from the pit lane.
Yeah.
So that's why he had to qualify with it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, okay, if you get through to the next session, then stick with it. Or like Williams, if they got through to Q2, then maybe change it back, because you're not going to get through to Q3, are you? So
no, you can't change that on the car at all. Once the beginning of Q1 starts, you can't change that on the car.
Oh, I thought they might be able to. What if someone wrecks a wing then? It has to come in.
If it's the same spec, you're fine.
Right.
But it's because it was a different spec. Even though it was a worse spec, you're changing the specification of the car. You're out of Parc Fermé, and then you have to start from the pit lane.
Right. Oh, okay.
So if it was, if he just knocked it and they had another one of the new wings, no problem. But because it was the old one and they're changing the spec and changed. Also, they couldn't swap Sorokin's wing for Stroll, because again the parts are also assigned to cars to an extent, if that makes sense. Yeah. So you can't even though it's exactly the same part going on exactly the same chassis, he has that wing for the race, and you can't do that. You can do whatever you want before qualifying starts. So if he'd have tagged it in Q3, in P3,
FP3,
FP3. Then he could have swapped it over and it'd be fine and whatever.
Yeah.
But after the lights go green on Q1, you're locked in.
Mm-hmm. No, it's cool. It's cool. I'm still surprised that they haven't made any more though.
Mm-hmm.
They should have by now.
Well, A, it might be a case that money's a bit tight, and B, what they might be doing is if they know they're going to be doing some development during the break because they were a bit unsure about what was going on with the car, they might be like, let's just save a bit of money, just get through this race, and then we'll just do new ones for the second half of the season.
Yeah, with another mod on them. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we'll see.
Yeah. Does it look more drivable now than it did like 2-3 weeks ago? Because in Britain, it looked terrible, didn't it? And Austria.
I think it looks. No, I don't think it does.
No. Oh, I don't know. We all hope that they get their act together over the summer break, don't we? But I don't think they're going to get scoring any more points this season.
That's a horrible fact if that is the case.
Yeah.
That is tragic. And certainly I think they have to do something at Williams.
Yeah. Anyway, on to lighter news. Q3.
Q3.
Everyone out on full wets. So this actual qualifying session has gone from drizzle to dry to drizzle to full wet situation. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen that this season so far.
I don't think we've seen this in a while. Can you remember when was the last time we had a qualifying on full wets?
There's people screaming at us right now, but my mind has gone blank.
Yeah, I'm sure you're screaming at me as well. But I can't remember when it last was qualifying on full wet.
Mm.
So Inter's, but it's been a while. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, everyone was on full wets, and it was at one point a Ferrari front row until the Mercedes somehow they put in 2 stunning laps, and within 20 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. Well, it's because they came in for fresh wets though, but they put their cars on the front row of the grid. It was a case that they were driving around, clearing some water, and Ferrari didn't come in for new wets. I'm not saying that they didn't have any. They must have had at least some spare wets.
Yeah.
But Mercedes came in, put some fresh rubber on, and I think that may have been partly the difference. But Hamilton was I was watching it was Anthony Davidson and him at the Skypad doing their little review of his pole lap. And normally you find grip on the outside of the corners, and he was just cutting in at bizarre angles, taking them really acute angles. And he was just finding the grip all over the place where no one else was finding it. And he just put a stunning lap in. So massive congratulations to Lewis for grabbing that pole position in horrible conditions.
It really was. And like you said, it was, everyone all the way through the weekend in the run up to it was saying this is going to be a Ferrari lockout. There's just no way Mercedes are able to compete. Even Mercedes were playing down their chances until it rained. And all of a sudden, here you go. And it's such a turnaround of what we've seen in previous years where the wet weather is what the other teams were hoping for.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, normally you're screaming for a bit of rain or something to spice it up, but really it's, if anything, they were stronger than they have been all season.
Absolutely. I think a lot of it's down to what's been perhaps the Achilles heel of the Mercedes of late is it's very quick at turning on its tyres, but as a result, it tends to burn through them a bit quicker. The Ferrari is generally softer, but when you need to get them up to temperature quicker, it hasn't worked for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The highlight of qualifying, though, for me, goes to Mr. Juan Fernando Alonso.
The birthday, well, not yet. It was the day before his birthday.
Yes, birthday eve, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said over the radio?
I didn't hear it, but I've heard that he was a bit upset about how his radio messages are being interpreted. But
oh, you're joking, is he?
Well, he thinks that they are playing his messages potentially out of context.
How? Because he's in a racing car and okay, right. I get that you don't get the conversation before and maybe half the conversation after, but there's no taking that out of context. If you're pissed off in a racing car, then you're pissed off in a racing car, aren't you?
See also 1M Verstappen, but
yeah, but well, okay. The guys, it was in Q2 and the garage radioed him and said, look, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to go on inters or full wets? And he's like, well, you guys do what you want. Do what you want. Put whatever tyres you want on. No, look, come into the garage and then we only get one run on this, even if you put inters or wets on. And he's like, well, no, I think section 3, we're losing it. It's impossible. Even if you put a rocket ship on us, we'd still be P11. But I love the way, it's his Spanish accent where he can roll them R's, which I'm so jealous of. I've always wanted to be able to roll them R's, but just for shits and giggles, really. But yeah, the way that he says, if you put a rocket ship on us, we'd still be 11th. That was genius, man. Absolutely genius. And I can't see how that can be taken out of context. That's rubbish.
Well, there you go.
Oh, God. Anyway, so yeah, that was qualifying. Lewis Hamilton got pole position. Valtteri Bottas finished the Mercedes front row lockout. Kimi Räikkönen out qualifying Sebastian Vettel for 3rd and 4th. Carlos Sainz in a surprise 5th because he was punching above his weight.
He also, Renault told him to abort the lap he got 5th on.
Did they?
Yep.
Why the hell? Why?
I don't know. But he ignored them, finished the lap and got 5th. So
good man.
Well played, that man.
I hope he did the little loser sign on his forehead as he walked in. As Pierre Gasly was also punching above his weight, he ended up 6th. Max Verstappen was down in 7th. What? I thought he was going to win. That was the law, wasn't it? That was the rule.
Well, Red Bulls are the best in the wet because they have the best chassis. So,
that's right, yeah. Brendan Hartley was 8th, Kevin Magnussen was 9th, and Romain Grosjean was 10th. So there's your top 10.
Oh, so well played to Toro Rosso there, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for getting into Q3
I think that's the first time this season they've both been in Q3.
Yeah. Something went well there, didn't it?
Well, I think that's an instance, where you have a wet race or wet qualifying and the power isn't important. The Honda power deficit isn't such an issue. And so it is largely down to the chassis and the drivers. And I do think the Toro Rosso have a very good chassis.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. I don't think anything happened apart from Lance Stroll requiring to start from the pit lane.
Yeah, that was about it. I just wanted to point out, though, the difference in. So the top time in Q1 was Vettel with a 116.666.
Yep.
The pole time from Lewis Hamilton was a 135.658.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Vettel had the fastest lap in Q2 as well, as I previously said. Yeah. So he was up there. And I think in free practices he was up there as well.
Again, anything but the wet, I think Ferrari would definitely have been a lockout for the front row.
Yeah, well, I think we saw that last season because it's undeniable that we're having hotter temperatures this year. I feel, anyway. And
Le gasp.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. And going to all around the world that they're having these races, it seems to be they are hotter races than last year, without a shadow of a doubt. And the Ferrari is acting better in them conditions. And I think we knew that last year anyway, but we had rather mild, cool, overcast races most of the time. And that's where the Mercedes kind of won out, really. Yeah, and, mistakes as well, crashing into your teammate and stuff like that doesn't help situations.
No, it does not.
But, yeah, it's a hotter year, so that going into Ferrari's hands, and yet it's not. What the hell? I suppose we'll be discussing that at the end of the race, though, won't we?
Quite possibly, yes. It might come up.
Okay.
You should make a note so we don't forget.
I will try to. Hang on. Right, I've got one more page in my notebook. I will try to make a note. Okay. Right. Right. So we get onto the race then.
Yes, let us get onto the race. I don't think there was anything of particular note in the intervening moments.
No. Well, this time out, they're actually racing for a decent trophy.
It was very nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nice bit of china. You stick it in the wardrobe.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. Definitely compared to the German one. That is one of the worst trophies I've ever seen. But I think I said that last time out. So
you did. And as I stand by the fact that the French Grand Prix still has the best one so far.
Okay, fair play. That's fair play. Yeah, the race. So Mercedes had a pretty good start, didn't they? They got off the line.
Yeah, as is always the case with just about every circuit now, we're told repeatedly that, you can't pass here, it's very difficult. Fuck off. But yeah, Mercedes got a great start. Ferrari, Kimi got a great start. They actually, because it was a wet qualifying, they could have new tyres, the top 10.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of a split strategy. We had the two Mercedes were on ultras. Sebastian was on the was it supers or the softs? It was the softs, and Kimi was on the ultras.
That's right. Yeah.
Fuck it. No. So what happened was here instead, the Mercedes were on the softs, but Vettel was on the mediums, and some people were on the hards, which is how it should be.
Hang. Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I see what you mean. I was going, what? No, that's wrong. No, he's right. Bollocks.
I'm right, damn it. It just gets confusing otherwise. Well, it's confusing on us. But anyway, the Mercedes were on the purples, Vettel was on the yellows.
That's the third name for the same tyre. Jesus Christ.
I'm just doing it to confuse you. But yeah, Kimi got a great start as well, and certainly looked like he was going to able to challenge Bottas for second place. But after he got his nose cut off, effectively, it was like, nope, not happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that. We got a little bit of dodgems further down the field. Danny Rick, very lucky to survive the contact he had with Ericsson.
God, yes.
I'm sure Grosjean was very jealous that Ericsson was giving all of his attention to Danny Rick and none to him. But you abuse a person like that and you don't return their calls and stuff like that, they're going to go and find someone else. They've moved on, Raymond. You need to let it go.
Exactly. So, yes. It's okay, right. You know that the picture of the lady in the foreground and the background with the boyfriend.
Yeah, I know the one.
It's kind of like that, isn't it?
A little bit.
Grosjean looking at Ericsson, and in the foreground is Ricciardo.
Yeah, a little bit like that. But it was an interesting way they went wheel to wheel, and I don't quite know how they managed to do it without Ericsson's wing getting taken out, but. The front of Ericsson's front right hit Ricciardo's front left and rode up over it, but didn't seem to damage either of them.
No. The rear tyres touched as well.
Because all the wheels on Danny Rick's left side, all the markings were worn off of them. Which I quite liked. It reminded me of how the cars used to be when they used to have so much brake dust and everything kind of covered over the Goodyear Eagle logos and everything. I quite like that. Let's do. There was no damage to Ricciardo's car. He was lucky. Did he also collide with Charles Leclerc?
No, Charles Leclerc got kind of sandwiched in between the Force Indias.
It was the Force Indias, yeah, and he got damage, and I think they destroyed his front wishbones.
Yep.
And that was just his race run, so he didn't even really make it past turn 3, which was a shame.
The reason why I think, right, okay, call me crazy about this, but it's
crazy.
Ericsson and Ricciardo touching. It's front wheel to front wheel, rear wheel to rear wheel.
Yeah.
With Charles Leclerc and the Force India, which I think was Perez, it was front wheel to rear wheel. And you got a lot more torque going through the rear wheels. And so I think that may have caused the problems there.
Right.
That may be that it seems unfair that one Sauber did exactly the same move and got away with it, whereas the other one hit another car on the wheels and then didn't get away with it.
Oh, it's luck of a draw. I mean, obviously the ideal one here is to not actually touch at all.
Yes.
But, you have one instance where you clip a wing and you got a puncture. You get another one where it happens and there's no damage at all. You get one instance where you take off a front wing end plate, you get understeering everywhere. You got another situation where it happens and you're setting lap records. It's
yeah, that's true. Yes, that is very true.
So it's just luck of a draw, and unfortunately, Charles Leclerc's race was run. It damaged something serious. I mean, the most famous example of this is going to be Damon Hill in '94.
Yeah,
with when he collided with Schumacher, or when Schumacher collided with him, to be more correct there.
Oh, it's clearly Schumacher's fault. He was already out the race anyway.
Yeah, I know. But my point is, you can see there, he managed to get back to the pits, but the damage was just too great, and his race was run. So, yeah, it was unfortunate, but it was what it was, and that was Leclerc out of it. And after that, we saw a fantastic lesson overtaking once again from Danny Ricciardo, which was always fun.
Should we talk about him now?
Absolutely, let's talk about him. Who was awarded man of the race, I believe.
Oh, definitely, yes. He clearly deserves it. He was the shining light in this race, I feel. Oh, it's a track that you can't pass on. Okay, yeah, fair enough. You've got a little bit more power and maybe a better chassis than all the cars you're overtaking, but you still need to get into that position and still need to, make the move.
Yeah, you've got to have the fortitude to make the move and make it stick. So, he goes off and he does it. There was some great moves. He lined it up beautifully in a couple of instances. Some great slipstreaming. He was going down the inside. He was going down the outside. He was pulling grip where people were just fearing to tread. And it was a joy to watch. And I'm kind of glad that for the most part of the race they kind of stuck with that.
Yeah, and there was a couple of moments with Magnussen as well, where he kind of showed Magnussen where he was going to go. Magnussen gave him just enough room, just in case he decided, I will go for it. And it was good racing. And I think it was mentioned in commentary a couple of races ago, maybe at the start of the season, Magnussen wouldn't have given him that room at all. It would have been, no, I'm going to slice your nose off, whatever you want to do.
I think Magnussen has matured a lot, or at least his ego's deflated a fair bit. He was very defensive at the beginning of the season.
Since the suck my balls comment, I think.
Yeah, well, I was being polite, but yes, since then. But ever since then, I feel he's matured, again, for lack of a better word, or certainly kind of calmed down. He's come along quite well this season. At the beginning of the season, I didn't have a huge amount of time for him. Now, he's okay.
Yeah.
So, it was pretty good. I enjoyed that battle that you had. Was it Crofty saying it's the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object? Let's see what happens.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, no, I thought Daniel Ricciardo put on a show for us. He showed that you can pass on these circuits and you can put fastest laps in as well and run long stints and not have your Tag Heuer Renault break down on you.
So let's talk a little bit about his teammate then, Max Verstappen.
Yes.
Who qualified a lot better than Danny Ric, so he didn't have as much traffic. He was kind of floating around about fourth, I guess, just behind the Ferraris and the Mercedes. And then all of a sudden he's slowing down. No power.
Oh, yeah.
Being told, you need to go to the start button and control panel. Right, okay. Do you see system? You need to click on system. Now go to device manager. Okay. Now we need to change your IP address. And, all that stuff he's got to do on the bloody steering wheel.
Yeah.
And then finally he's told to...
Have you forgotten your password? Okay. Yeah. Click on forgot password.
Yeah.
And then the capture comes up. I can't, I'm reading, I can see the CC87, but I can't make out the last digit.
Yeah, it's basically a bit like that. They're trying to do it while he's going around, and then
it's asking how many pictures have buildings in, and I can only see 3.
He finally has to. He was told to pull over and stop. He didn't want to pull over and stop. He wanted to bring it back to the pit lane, but they told him, "You want to save the engine." To which I believe his response was, "Expletive deleted. Expletive deleted. This expletive deleted engine. I don't expletive deleted care. This is a bunch of expletive deleted."
Yep.
And he pulled it over to a stop, and was not a happy bunny. Understandably. And then you had Christian Horner also saying he was not a happy bunny, saying they spend lots of money on a product from Renault which is obviously subpar, and it was just it was a thing.
Do you think Renault are giving them subpar engines? I don't think they would be allowed to, and I don't think Renault as a man, but then again, it's not a Renault name on that car though, is it?
Well, it's not. It's a Tag Heuer. And as I was, as I wasn't saying, but as was mentioned, there's an updated MGU H or K or something, one of them, which is available to Red Bull, but they're choosing not to run it. I'm just going to borrow your tinfoil hat for a second and stick it on here.
Okay.
Red Bull are so comfortably in third, no one can overtake them at this point.
Yeah.
They've got no chance of getting first or second. They might be making the case of why moving to Honda's a better deal by showing that the Renaults are just not up to it.
Okay. Do you think that they're redlining everything?
I don't think they're necessarily redlining everything. Well, maybe they are. But I think they're perhaps... they're not being as cooperative, perhaps. They're not making allowances. They're very much... it's just... I don't want to say that they're deliberately sabotaging the engines, because I don't think they're doing that at all. Not in the slightest. But I think they just... when they move over to Honda, they want to show they made the right decision.
Yep.
I don't think it necessarily hurts them if Renault are, if it's shown in the back end of this season that Renault were just an absolute waste of space. Because let's face it, there were 6 Renault engines on the grid today. Yep. One of them failed.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, McLaren's failed, but that was a gearbox issue. I don't think you can necessarily make the point that the Renault engine is fundamentally flawed. I suspect we might be seeing what happened with what's it called? With Honda and McLaren. They're not compromising things like their cooling and stuff like that.
Right.
And that might be what's causing the problem.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, it might work out for the best for Toro Rosso. For Red Bull to go to Honda and then have this new perspective on what an engine requires. Give them the leeway as well, which is what they've said that they were already going to do anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they would be redlining them or pushing them to their absolute tolerances. I just don't feel that they'd want their drivers sat on the sideline breaking down all the time. I can't see that they'd want to do that.
No, I don't think they want to do that. But like I said, I feel that there's going to be a lot of people looking at them at the beginning of next season.
Mm.
And if the Honda engine is failing a lot, whereas you had a Renault engine which was at least getting them thirds, the occasional win, stuff like that, that's a bitter pill to swallow. So, yeah, I just feel that that's one of the things they need to manage, perhaps. Okay. They don't have shareholders as such because it's Red Bull pretty much owns them outright.
Yeah.
But they are a company, they are a team which races on face. You know, let's face it, they spent most of the last 3 years blaming all of their ills on the Renault engine.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel now that they finally made the jump over to it, they kind of feel they have to show that we were absolutely right jumping over to Honda. And both Hondas finished today. So, yay.
Okay, right.
Again, this is pure tinfoil hats territory.
Oh, yeah, I can hear it, don't worry.
I just feel that it's a little bit... It's 2 weeks in a row, the only Renault engines to fail have been in Red Bull cars.
Mm-hmm.
Renault are not deliberately sabotaging them.
No, I don't think that they could afford to or would be allowed to, because that would be highlighted straight away.
Yes. And again, I don't think they can say these serial numbers are all going to Red Bull. I think they make the engines and then they just get pulled out. You know, whenever someone needs a new engine, it goes over to them.
Yeah, I think that's the fairest way to do it as well, isn't it?
Exactly. Especially now they can't do different engine mappings and all that kind of stuff. I don't think they do that at all. But I think what it is a breakdown of communication. They're not talking to each other. So now what you're going to find is Renault are perhaps not sharing stuff they're learning with Red Bull.
Yeah.
And Red Bull are perhaps starting to develop the car for next year. So they know what the Honda package looks like because they got it from Toro Rosso. Mm-hmm. They know what the Honda are planning. So maybe they want to move an oil cooler because it will work better for the Honda and they want to see how it affects something. Doesn't work particularly well with the Renault. Who cares? If the Renault engine fails, well, it's not our fault, is it?
Okay. Right. Okay. So applying next year's physics on this year's car.
Potentially. I'm just saying I don't think Renault are deliberately sabotaging, but I don't think Red Bull particularly mind Renault looking bad right before they move to Honda.
Yeah. That would make sense, because then you could go to Honda and say, look, we tried this with the Renault and we got this result. We got all this data, and handing it over to Honda from that car. And then they can go, okay, right, you made that mistake there. We can move this over there and that works over there. And yeah, this is the reason why. That's that. Okay. I could buy that. Definitely. That makes a bit more sense. And I suppose that would be them kind of redlining it, but in a way that leads over to next year, because redlining it just for the sake of redlining it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing. I don't think they're doing it out of spite. Yeah. I don't think they're just saying, "Oh, we're going to fuck over our drivers just to spite you, Renault. We'll show you."
That'll learn them.
Put it this way: I don't think Red Bull are doing a Brexit at this point, but I do think they don't mind Renault looking bad, and like I said, I just feel that they're not necessarily looking at this season anymore. Their mind's already on to next season.
Yep.
So, like I said, no one can catch them for third. Third place in the constructors is locked down. That's where the money is. So as far as Red Bull are concerned, we're good.
Yeah, that's fine. They're just looking at possible races that they can win.
Right.
And I think that's only going to be one more from now on.
Potentially, yeah. We know they've got Verstappen signed up.
Yep.
So their drivers are good. And where's Ricciardo going to go at this point? He's kind of out of options, so he's all likely going to stay. And maybe even they're saying to him, again, you're saying, look, the Renault engine, it's failing here. With the Honda, both of those Hondas finished, and we're developing this with them, and we're doing all of this. You want to stay with us?
Yeah. Okay, I like your thinking now. Yeah.
I've talked you around to my conspiracy, have I?
You kind of have, yeah. Pass me that tinfoil hat. That's fine.
Here you go. You can have it back.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. So, Verstappen stopped out on the track then?
Yes, he stopped out after an expletive-filled radio message, which I think even made Fernando Alonso blush.
That was good, though. It deserved it, though, didn't it?
It did. And then when he was interviewed and they said, well, we heard your message, there were lots of bleeps in it. He goes, well, maybe there shouldn't have been bleeps.
Yeah. Totally enjoying his status at the moment. And that brought out a VSC. Ugh.
Yeah, it was very brief, though. I don't think it was necessarily needed, but it was over and done before it really affected anything.
No, that's right.
I think the only thing we had was Ericsson went in for an early pit stop.
Yeah, I think it was Ericsson, and then he did like 60 odd laps on his tyres, didn't he? After that,
he did. I think as well that pit stop was partly just to check the car for damage after collecting Ricciardo like he did.
Yeah, and then see if he could poach any places later on, because you never know. You never know if you have another safety car, a full safety car, and then you don't have to come in. You could gain like 5-6 places easily.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was that's Ricciardo and the Red Bulls, effectively. You want to talk about the Ferraris?
Yeah, why not? Can I mention then Kimi Räikkönen?
You may. I was going to say, your boy Kimi.
Yeah, I felt he was quite quiet on the start. He kind of gave up his position to Vettel, which I think that was choreographed. It was a case of, okay, right, you're on the ultras, the purples, the softs, whatever you want to call them, and you're there to battle the Mercedes. If you get ahead of one of them, brilliant, and then slow them up so Vettel can, capitalize on that. But if you don't, going into turn 2, then give that position up to Vettel. And it all felt choreographed. It was as if Kimi Räikkönen saw he was in third position, saw Vettel behind him, squeezing over onto the right-hand side, and he just lifted off the throttle ever so slightly so Vettel could go around the outside.
I think the team orders were, if you can't get in front of a Mercedes by turn 2, let Vettel pass.
Yeah. Which makes sense because if he could have pushed them, he had the better tyre or the longer lasting tyre to push them into an earlier pit stop, didn't he?
Yeah. I think Ferrari were very clever with the strategy calls today, and I feel that without an incident we'll speak to in a second, or 2 incidents, Vettel would have won. The incidents I'm referring to are, we had Carlos Sainz ignoring 9 blue flags.
Yeah, 9 blue flags, yeah.
9 blue flags, which wasn't even investigated after the race, which was shocking. Carlos Sainz says that it's a time period from when you're first told about it before you actually let them pass. But I've never heard it as that before. I've always understood it as 3 flags. You have 3 flags to move.
Yeah, I thought it was 3 flags as well.
So, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. And I've not heard of anything out of that. But that's that delayed Vettel enough that he was then unable to jump Bottas. Also, his pit stop was a little bit slow. The front left was slow going on.
Yeah.
And
hang on a second. Your pen's coming through quite a lot.
Oh, sorry.
That's
I
right.
will stop clicking my pen.
Yeah, it's coming through quite a lot. So I thought if I don't say anything, then I'm just going to annoy myself.
It's going to annoy you. I've stopped. I've put the pen down.
Cool. Right. Please continue.
I will continue. You got to leave all that in now as well.
Yeah, sod it. You know what? I might as well.
Yeah, fuck it. Why edit this shit?
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone, for the pen. I won't do it again. Anyway, where was I? The pit stop. So, the pit stop was delayed. The front left was slow going on. And because of that, he didn't come out ahead of Bottas. Wasn't able to then get past Bottas. Well, at least not for a while. And I think that just compromised it. It meant that he wasn't able to catch up with Hamilton. And the best he could hope for at that point was second.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, Sainz... do you know what? I'm glad. Was he lapping Sainz? He was lapping Sainz, wasn't he?
He was lapping it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why isn't he jumping out of the way?
Well, Sainz was fighting with Ocon. But, yeah, he should have... He should have gotten out of the way a lot sooner. Should have been told to get out of the way a lot sooner. And Ferrari probably should have driven home the message to, look, you need to get out of the sodding way. We still had, to my mind, an entertaining race, but I feel we could have had another fight for the lead if that hadn't been the case. Ferrari played the strategy pretty much perfectly.
Yeah.
But a combination of Sainz delaying Vettel into traffic and that slow pit stop just meant that it wasn't to be, and then Hamilton was able to run away with it.
Yeah, because Vettel would have been in second position. He could have been closing up on Hamilton and then giving us the finale that we all want.
Yeah, and I think that would have made for a much... while I enjoyed the race, I think it would have been a proper good classic one if we had a proper dogfight at the end.
Yeah. Which I feel we're kind of missing sometimes, aren't we?
A little bit. If you took the battle we had between Bottas and Vettel and just moved it further up, that would have been fun. Those sort of fireworks.
Oh man, yeah, that would have been good. That would have been good.
So let's speak about that. Bottas, they pitted Kimi early, and again he had a slow pit stop, but he got out. But Mercedes then decided they had to cover him, so pulled in Bottas, effectively acknowledging that Bottas is now the wingman. Even saying that he is the wingman, but we'll speak about that in a second.
Yeah.
And because of that, they then decided they wanted to do one stop, but it meant Bottas was running very long on those soft tyres.
Yep.
As we get in towards the end, Vettel's managed to save a bit in his tyres. He had the ultras on. It's getting closer and closer and closer. A couple of moments where he'd been using the DRS down the straight, a bit of slipstreaming, and he finally gets past him, or at least starts doing, because I love turns 1, 2, and 3. That's a great little complex for overtaking. And Vettel gets past him, is coming up to... Was it turn 3 they collided? Was it turn 2? It's turn 2, isn't it?
It's turn 2, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming into turn 2. Vettel's gotten past him, pretty much gone a full car length, but Bottas manages to eke in a little bit. Vettel, though, just sticking to his line, cuts across his nose, takes his front wing end plate straight off.
Yep.
God only knows how his tyre didn't get destroyed by that. But he managed to keep on going. And Bottas, with front wing end plate gone, still managed to keep going as well. I don't think that wing damage really affected him. What I think was the issue, though, was his tyres at that point. I think they'd gone off that proverbial cliff.
Oh, they had. You saw him power sliding out of turn 1 just before Vettel overtook him.
So I think his tyres are gone. And then what we then see is with Ricciardo coming up to pass him, because, Christian Horner was quite... when Martin Brundle said, "What's the best you can hope for today?" and he goes, 5th. There was no conversation. There was no discussion over, well, we're hoping we get a 5th. He's just like, 5th.
Yeah,
that's the best we can do. And Ricciardo managed to hunt down Bottas for 4th, and they're coming up to turn 1. Bottas goes to the inside. Ricciardo's going around the outside, but with a combination of the damage to the nose and with the lack of tyres, he just understeers straight into the side of Ricciardo, destroys the side of his car.
Mm-hmm.
The barge board's gone. The floor's got damage. It's a mess. It's lucky he didn't damage the radiators. But Ricciardo managed to keep it going. And then still... Well, he managed to keep it going. Bottas was then told to give the place back.
Because yes, he was,
Mercedes were pretty much worried that if he didn't give the place back, he was going to get a penalty. Turns out he got a penalty regardless. But it was a 10-second penalty and he was 30 seconds ahead on Magnussen, so it didn't really make a huge difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ricciardo managed to get 4th, which was well played to him. But yeah, his car looked like it had been through the wars when it got back.
Well, yeah, Valtteri Bottas's Mercedes had a big hole in the side of it as well, didn't it?
I didn't see that. But
yeah. Bottas... You could see as he was driving around, you could see a radiator or something that was breathing from the outside. And there was a bit, I've seen a photo where someone's taken the bodywork off and he's just holding it up and you can see clear through it.
Wow. Yeah, that was a proper mess.
Yeah.
It was great to watch. But...
Oh, yeah. Well, should we talk about both instances then?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the Vettel instance, going into turn 2, do you think anyone's at fault for this? Or do you think it's just a racing incident, or are both partially to blame for this?
Oh, it's a racing incident.
Yeah.
I think we don't want to see drivers giving up too easily. And I think that was levelled at Bottas earlier in the season in China, was it?
Yeah.
We want to see drivers go for overtakes when they can do. So I think the move was fair. It was a great little battle. I think the only thing I think you can say is Bottas should have realised it was a done deal, because even if he'd managed to force Vettel out wide, his tyres were so far gone. Next lap, it was a done deal. And we want to see the battles, but I just think Bottas probably should have realised that Vettel, once he'd gotten the car past him, he was taking that racing line.
Yep.
And I think Bottas did realise, because you see he goes onto the grass to try and avoid it, but his tyres are just so gone at that point, he's just got nothing to do. So went straight to the scene of the accident. It's a racing incident in my eyes.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And I don't think any further action was needed with that one. After that, though, I definitely think that he probably should have just let Ricciardo pass a bit easier. He should have known he was compromised from the nose damage. He was compromised from the tyres.
Yeah.
If anything, maybe he should have dived into the pits, thrown on a set of ultras, leave the wing, and then just try to do a fight, try and pass Ricciardo on track and maybe catch up with Kimi.
Right.
That's all you could have maybe done, because Magnussen was so far back. You had a free pit stop there, nothing really to lose. But
yeah, that's true.
The other.
I feel Mercedes have done this to Bottas a couple of times this season already, where they've hung him out to dry a little bit on long life tyres.
Mm-hmm.
And it has come back to bite him a couple of times. I'm racking my brain to think where. I think it was, pretty sure it was Britain or Silverstone. Definitely not in Germany, no, because he came second in Germany. But there's been a couple of times where he's been hung out to dry. And he got to the point where he's got both Ferraris behind him. They're both hounding him. And as soon as Vettel got in front of him, he should have realised, okay, my battle is now behind me again with Kimi Räikkönen, because he's right there. And he should have gone for that battle instead. I can understand his frustration in getting past and then and Vettel chopping in front of him. Vettel shouldn't have chopped in front of him. Vettel should have given him, even though he had a car's width on him, he should have known, cutting in that acute angle, trying to take the racing line like that, you're risking a second place here.
Yeah.
And he did risk that second place. He had every reason to have a cut tyre there. Vettel nobody could blame him apart from him, being out of that race.
Yeah.
And I'd love to shout conspiracy because, oh, look, a Mercedes has hit a Ferrari, because they always do that, don't they? Maybe Bottas had the skill to actually drive into the side of him.
Just enough.
just enough, just to cut his tyre, but then for him to continue. But no, obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But no, nobody's saying that. No Hamilton fans are saying that, are they? I haven't heard that yet.
No, not once.
I haven't heard Vettel fans say that either, and they're the ones that really should be saying that. But anyway, I feel Vettel could have avoided that contact and maybe risking the second place, because he would have lost it straight away.
Yeah.
With the Ricciardo incident, does Valtteri know exactly how much damage he's got on his front wing? I know he's done a lap or two up until Ricciardo has caught up to him, so he knows what's going on and what kind of state his car is in, but also battling with someone.
Back as well. The team would have reported. They would have seen it on the pictures, so they'd have said to him, look, you're missing this bit. We can see this on the telemetry. If it feels okay, keep going or whatever. Yeah. But like I said, more so it's the tyres than the wing that I think caused the issue.
Yeah.
And I just feel that once you saw Ricciardo coming up on the outside like that, I mean, you got cut to the inside to defend. That's absolutely fine.
And he cut over early as well.
Yeah.
He was on the dirty side all the way. That's the thing. Another thing that no one's brought up. He was on the dirty side all the way down that straight. And so that has attributed to his understeer into that corner.
And he just went, and it was weird. I think Croft even said, let's hope he doesn't understeer. And it was just like, woo.
No, that wasn't Crofty.
Was it Brundle?
That was Horner.
Was it Horner? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Horner.
That was all that they were doing, a thing to the pit wall and saying,
they said you commentate on it. Yeah.
yeah. What commentator's curse? Obviously, clearly that was.
Yeah.
But that was a case of, you commentate on it and you're really going to commentate on your own car dragging past someone else. And he did say, I hope he doesn't understeer at the end. He just did. Like, oh no. What the hell?
Yeah. That was entertaining. A little bit of argy-bargy there.
Yeah. But, okay, Bottas did get penalised for the Ricciardo situation and not the Vettel situation.
Yes, he was penalised for that, not the other one, which I suppose was partly down to they feel he should have known the situation after the Vettel collision and maybe just been a bit more let him pass.
Yeah.
It was kind of a done deal, I guess. I don't know the exact wording of what it is, but it didn't really have an impact. I feel it was more of a token because you don't want to set precedents and stuff like that. Everyone's always saying we want consistency. So if they view that was maybe they wouldn't have taken that position if he would have then lost fourth because of it, but who knows?
Yeah. And what about the wingman situation?
I don't think Toto was saying wingman. I think this is a misunderstanding of military nomenclatures and what a wingman actually is.
Yeah.
There is that perception that the wingman is merely there to support the lead fighter. That's not the case. The wingman is there to cover the lead fighter, but the lead fighter is your wingman as well. It's right. A two-way thing. And I think what he was saying is you supported the team and your co-driver, which was great. You were doing that. We're not saying you're a second-class driver. We're not saying you're the B driver, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying you're the Eddie Irvine or the Felipe Massa. What we're saying is or the David Coulthard. We're not saying any of those. What we're saying is, you helped the team. You helped Lewis win the race, which was great. Let's face it, Bottas, you were never in a position to win that race after Lewis got pole. Nothing against you as a driver. It's just Lewis is a force of nature when he's switched on properly.
That's right.
And once he got through turn 2 ahead, that was kind of it.
And so you got to look at their points in the Drivers' Championship as well.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton's nearly got 100 points more than Valtteri.
Absolutely. And he's the team has managed to get ahead of Ferrari.
Yeah,
I think they're 50 points ahead now, something like that.
Yeah.
Going into a mid-season break, that's important to them as well. So I don't think Toto was saying that was a great drive by our B driver. Well done, you. But that is how Bottas has chosen to interpret it. And I think that's dangerous. Because if the driver starts seeing himself as a B driver, that can be dangerous. Because I think that might have been what happened with Rosberg for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And let's just say 2014 through 2016 weren't necessarily too much fun for him.
No, that's right. That's right. I think it might have been just a poor choice of words from Toto at that point.
And let's not forget, English is not Toto's first language.
No, that's true. Or Valtteri Bottas's, and it's been passed on to him through an English reporter.
Who no doubt wants that reaction.
Of course.
So,
Toto called you a wingman. Well, I'm a bit disappointed in that. I'll be having words with him later.
Yeah.
I can see it, but then again, you've got to look at the facts. He has been kind of used in that sort of situation. I think Kimi Räikkönen has been used like that, but he sits there going, well, I'm driving a Ferrari. You're not. Fine. That's fair enough.
Well, like you said, there's effectively 100 points difference between it. It's what? Lewis has got 213, Bottas has 132. So, yeah, there's 80-odd points difference there.
Yeah.
That's, even if Lewis didn't compete in the rest of the season, it would still take Bottas 4 races, winning every race, to catch him.
He ain't going to do that.
It's just not. And again, we're not saying anything against Bottas as a driver. He's a very, very good driver. He fully deserves to be in that car. But the maths just doesn't stack up.
He's not a world champion. Sorry, he's not a world champion. Sorry if you're a Bottas fan, but I don't think he's a world champion in the making at all.
Well, I'm not going to say that either way, but he has not won a world championship as yet. So that's fact A. And as I said, the 4-time world champion in the car next to him is 80 points ahead at the midpoint of the season. So I can totally see why Mercedes did the thing they did. They've been criticised in the past for letting Ferrari dictate strategy. When Kimi pitted, they just felt they had to cover him off. So they did. As soon as that was done, Bottas was effectively playing the wingman role.
Yeah.
But to be fair, even if he was still behind Lewis, he'd still been playing the wingman. You know, if Lewis would have come into the pits first, which would typically happen, lead car has priority, Bottas would then be expected to effectively hold up the other cars if they were close.
Well,
or if they weren't close. Yeah.
This sort of situation is new for Mercedes because in years past, the last 3 seasons, it's been, okay, we have our set way and either our lead car goes in first or our second car goes in first, and that is written in stone.
Well, it's because the championship has been down to the Mercedes cars, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's infighting. So that all they have to do is worry about and keep it fair for them two. But now they're looking at outside factors, and they kind of have to use someone. If Valtteri had won the first 4 races, I'm sure Lewis Hamilton would either be trying to fight his way up to the very front again. But if it got to a certain situation where he had to help his teammate, I think he'd be more reluctant to help Rosberg than to help Bottas.
Yeah, I think so too. I think if it got in that situation, he'd probably do it. He wouldn't be happy about having to do it. You wouldn't expect him to be happy about having to do it. But that's just the nature of it. It is what it is. And if it was through no fault of his own, if it was through circumstance, it's not fair. But I'm repeatedly told life is not fair. So you just have to get on with it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. One other thing I wanted to talk about with Kimi Räikkönen. No drink all race.
No drink all race. He didn't seem terribly happy about that.
Well, the communication was, okay, have you guys plugged in the drink? And they're like, no, Kimi, we have not plugged in the drink. Okay, so I've got no drink. No, Kimi, you have no drink. Okay, so...
If you're going to do the voices, you've got to do voices for both of them.
Oh man, that's going to be hard. Okay.
No.
No, Kimi, we have not plugged in the drink. No, it's going to be the same voice, man. I can't do that.
I know.
And then Kimi's like, okay, well, have I turned the drink off? Because obviously they have their water pumps.
Yeah.
They have a drink button on their steering wheel and probably a pump that they have to turn on as well. And he's driving along and he's worried about pissing all of his drink all over the engine and maybe into his seat, I suppose. And then he's trying to get to the point where, okay, I know I don't have a drink. Is my bottle turned off? And they're like, no, Kimi, no drink. Oh dear. He should have just pulled up and said, right, guys, do I have, is my drink plugged in? Actually, no, I'm here now. Plug it in. Oh.
Well, I can understand why you wouldn't want it necessarily spilling into the cockpit, partly because I think it would be uncomfortable. But also, let's not forget, they're sitting on top of a rather large battery pack.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I can he's totally justified in asking that question.
Yes.
But I don't think they got the gist of why is he asking? We told him he hasn't got a drink, and yet why does he keep asking it? Is his drink working? Like, no. Jesus Christ. But yeah, that was quite amusing anyway. We did have another virtual safety car when Van Dorn pulled over.
Yeah, he pulled over a gearbox issue, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. And
what was interesting is he was pretty much shadowing Alonso the entire race, wasn't he?
I thought he did really well, actually.
Yeah.
He was right behind him all the way there. He was in the points when he broke down, and he was going pretty well.
I think it was potentially his best performance of the season so far.
Well, there's always been at least one, maybe two cars in between him and Fernando, haven't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this time round, they were going, nose to tail, weren't they? So yeah, that was pretty good. And Alonso wasn't really gapping him either. So,
yeah, it was doing well. It was a shame when it broke down from a gearbox issue.
Yep.
At least it wasn't an engine as well. McLaren are in just such a mess at the minute. It's and I don't see it getting better anytime soon.
No, it's not. No.
So that's a shame. Let's see, who else should we talk about? Haas did okay. I mean, what did we finish? Magnussen got 7th, Grosjean got 10th, so both in the points.
Yep.
Not bad there for them. Gasly did very well, got a 6th place there. I think he was Brundle's driver of the day.
Okay, yeah. I thought he did quite well. He was very quiet, though.
I think that's the thing. He had a quiet, competent race, but because he was just kind of doing his own thing, he didn't really get featured much on the TV.
No.
And it's all of a sudden, and Gasly's 6th. What?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Well, yeah, by all rights, there should be a Renault ahead of him, really. But then again, I suppose that qualifying position, he qualified in 6th, didn't he? So
yeah, he did.
He did quite well.
He did very well. I mean, Brendan Hartley ended up in 11th. So
yep.
Out of a teammate. Carlos Sainz finished ahead of Hülkenberg. So well done him.
Yep.
He needs to start getting some good finishes in. Rumours continue to circulate. He might be off to McLaren alongside Alonso. I don't see Alonso and McLaren next year, though. Not in Formula One. I still don't see it.
No, I don't either.
But we will see. Force Indias did a particularly good one. They're 13th and 14th. Mm-hmm. Ericsson 15th. And then the 2 Williams at the back of the field because, yeah, of course they are.
Because that's where they live now, isn't it?
It is basically where they live. It feels like kicking a puppy at this point, just putting them down over and over again. No one likes seeing Williams where they are like right now. I don't want to beat up on the driver. I continue to think they have a wrong driver lineup. I feel if you had a Fernando Alonso, a Hülkenberg, a Ricciardo, a Vettel, a Hamilton, one of the potential champions in the car, maybe even an Ocon, I feel that car would at the very least be doing as well as Alonso's doing.
Yeah.
I don't think Williams as a team is in a bigger mess as McLaren is as a team.
I think Williams are a good update away from a good result.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, they've got the Mercedes engine. The engine is solid. We know that.
Yeah.
Reliability is very rarely an issue. I think it's partly, like you said, it's a good update. I also think, though, it's having drivers who can explain that properly.
Mm-hmm.
I think even maybe Kubica's the wrong person to have as a test and development driver. It's been so long since. He knows how to do it, but they just don't get time to test. It's not like back in the day where, back in the early 2000s, every day of the week between races, Michael Schumacher would be going around the Ferrano track at Ferrari.
Yep.
Just lap after lap after lap after lap, understanding, testing, refining. They just throw stuff at that car and they do so many laps on it. You can't do that anymore.
No, them days are gone.
Yeah.
That's what Friday's all about now.
It is what the Fridays are all about. But they're just not... Well, they're not putting their test drivers in on the Fridays. And I suppose with Williams especially, they need to give their drivers time in the car because, well, Sorokin certainly has not raced a Formula One car at these tracks. He needs the most time he can around them. So I don't know.
Yeah. I honestly think that they're maybe 1 or 2 updates away from some pretty decent results. Whereas I think McLaren's problems are more ingrained in there. They're like a tattoo that's been there for quite a while. It's got a bit green, got a bit manky. You ain't getting rid of it anytime soon.
Yeah. So, yeah. What else can you say about him? It's sad.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get away from the sad stuff because we're in the mid-season break. We're supposed to be looking forward to our holidays and stuff like that. So
absolutely, yes. We're off down the beach. We've got our little hankies on, you know.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So, Lewis Hamilton actually won the race. He was pretty much unchallenged, wasn't he? So he won it from Sebastian Vettel by about 17 seconds. Mm-hmm. Kimi Räikkönen managed to get past Valtteri Bottas and ended up third. Daniel Ricciardo was in fourth. Valtteri Bottas was fifth, even though he did incur a 10-second time penalty with the collision with Daniel Ricciardo. Pierre Gasly, as we mentioned earlier, was in sixth. Kevin Magnussen, seventh. Fernando Alonso, eighth. Carlos Sainz, ninth. And Grosjean picked up the last point in 10th position. So, would you like to do the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships?
Well, what I'm going to do, since, as you say, it is the mid-season break, we're going to do everybody.
Okay.
So we can get a real sense of where people are. Would you like me to start from the bottom up or from the top down?
Bottom up, please.
You want it bottoms up?
Yes.
Very well. In 20th, we have Sergei Sirotkin with nil points. And still, no one is saying his season is pointless.
No, that's true.
In 19th, we have Brendan Hartley with 2 points. In 18th, we have Lance Stroll with 4. 17th, we have Marcus Ericsson with 5 points. 16th, we have Stoffel Van Dorn with 8. 15th, we have Charles Leclerc with 13. In 14th place, we have Roman Grosjean with 21. So he's turned that around pretty well. I mean, when did he score his first point? Was it?
Oh, I forget now.
It
wasn't France. Was it Austria?
You know what? Bear with me un momento. Let's see. He scored in Austria. So we had a 4th in Austria and then a 6th and a 10th in Germany and Hungary.
Right.
So yeah, not too bad. 13th is Pierre Gasly with 26. 12th is Esteban Ocon with 29. 11 is Carlos Sainz with 30. 10th is Sergio Perez, also with 30. 9th is Fernando Alonso with 44, sorry, not 14. He is car 14, but he has 44 points. 8th is Kevin Magnussen with 45. 7th is Nico Hülkenberg with 52. 6th is Max Verstappen with 105. 5th is Danny Ricciardo with 118. 4th is Valtteri Bottas with 132. 3rd is Kimi Räikkönen with 146. 2nd is Sebastian Vettel with 189. And out in the lead is one Mr. L. Hamilton with 213 points.
Good stuff.
And on the constructors front, we have in 10th place Williams with 4 points. In 9th, we have Sauber with 18. 8th, we have Toro Rosso with 28. 7th, McLaren with 52. 6th is Force India with 59. 5th is Haas with 66. 4th is Renault with 82. Then there's a bit of a gap to Red Bull with 223. Ferrari are second with 335. And Mercedes are 10 points ahead with 345.
Excellent.
So there you go. So I think Red Bull have pretty much got third place sewn up. I don't see anyone passing them at all.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 4th through to 7th is open.
Yes, yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I say that. McLaren's at 7th, so I don't think they're going to be getting better. I'd say 4th down to 6th is open. Force India, Haas and Renault, I can see any of them potentially moving place. Sauber doing very well compared to where they were last year with 18.
Yep.
I mean, for a point of comparison, last season Man says looking up thing on internet.
Quickly, look it up, quicker.
I'm looking it up quick as I can. There you go. Sauber scored a grand total of 5 points.
Wow. So they can go on their holidays very happy with their half-term results.
Very much so. But I also think that is worth remembering for Williams. You know, Williams last year had 83 points, finished 5th.
Ouch.
So yeah, it can turn around very quickly. I don't think anyone should in any way write off Williams just because of this season. I do think they have to sort their driver lineup. I think that's fundamentally the first thing they've got to do.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you who. I mean, I don't know who's available. I don't know who's willing. But I just don't see Stroll and Sorokin working for them.
Okay, so it was at this point we decided to have our impromptu mid-season review. So, as I said at the very beginning, what we've done, we've chopped it out. This will be the next episode to come up in around about a week or so. And now we go back to our review on the Hungarian Grand Prix. Okay, well, I think we'll leave it there for now. Yes. What we'll do, we'll hop skip back to Hungary because we need to do our predictions. Go through the predictions and then predict for Belgium for the next time out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's come to that point where I have to ask, do you remember what you put down?
Yes. I remember who I did for Poland, the race.
Okay. Well, so pole position, you predicted Vettel, I predicted Hamilton. I do believe Hamilton got the jump on you.
Fuck yeah. Bastard rain. One time it rains.
Well, you throw me into this corner.
I did. You're welcome.
And so, yeah, I get a point for that. So, you know, all I have to do is that if I win this by 1 point, I will thank you for that point there.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you gave me that point.
I fucking did and all, didn't I?
You did, yeah. For the race, you predicted Vettel to win the race. He did not. It was Hamilton.
It was Hamilton.
I predicted Kimi Räikkönen. So no points for me on that one either.
You know, it just tying into something we said in a different podcast lately, in the parallel universe where it was a dry weekend, I fucking won both those points. I just want that on the fucking record.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, I guarantee that you would have, yeah.
Ah, well.
Yeah. And our third column, it was for the fastest lap of the race.
Oh, yes, it was.
I don't know if you remember that or not. And then
I don't, but I think we both agreed it wasn't going to be Alonso.
That's true, yeah. Well, we had to guess who it would be, and then we'd get an extra bonus point for guessing on the lap that it would happen on.
Mm-hmm.
So, you guessed it would be Kimi Räikkönen.
Uh-huh.
I said Verstappen.
Mm-hmm.
It was neither of them.
It was not.
It was Ricciardo.
It was Ricciardo.
And it was
on
quite...
46.
What lap?
46.
Oh, was it 46? I thought it was later than that.
No, lap 46. A 120.012.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Right. Well, anyway, yeah, he got it. So no points for that. So
no points for me.
No points for you.
No.
So I add my point to the tally and don't add your point because you didn't get any.
You mentioned that a couple of times.
Yeah. I now have 10 points and you are at 8 points. So, you know, it's still all to play for. It could go either way.
Can still turn it around. I've still got however many races left to go.
Exactly, yeah. 9 races to go.
9 races to go. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So you can turn it around. You can turn it around. So that leaves us Belgium next time out.
Le Belgian Grand Prix.
Okay. So what you got for me from last year?
Well, last year the pole position was on Mr. L. Hamilton, and the podium was L. Hamilton from S. Vettel from D. Ricciardo, with a fastest lap from S. Vettel. In terms of all-time stats, the most wins here is Michael Schumacher. Lewis has won here 3 times. Vettel has won here twice. Ferrari's won it 16 times. McLaren 14. Mercedes 6. Williams 4. So, yeah.
Okay. So who are you going to go with then?
Who am I going to go with? I tried to be clever this time out.
Pole position.
I'm going to give you both. I'm going to go with Lewis on both of them. I fucking should stick with my fucking guns here.
Okay.
I start trying to be a smart ass and saying, "Oh, maybe Vettel in the fight." No, and it bites me in the fucking ass. I'm just going to say Lewis.
Well, then I might as well go Vettel.
There you go.
Why not? I'd like to shake it up. I'd like to say Kimi. There could be rain, though, mate. There could be rain.
There could be, but equally so, there could be wildfires. So
yeah, that's true. I feel if I go Vettel, I feel no. I'm in the lead at the moment. I've got 2 points in the lead, so I could sacrifice one of them.
You could. But which one would it be? Which would it be?
Oh man. I tell you what, I'm going to sacrifice it. I'm going to sacrifice. Oh man, what do I do? Give me Raikkonen for the race win. There we go. I've scrubbed it out.
We have a scribble there.
Yep. Some people would have you think that you can't rub out pen. You can scribble through it though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So there we go. For the third column, what do you want to go for? Something with Van Dorn?
I was just thinking that, but it seems like it's going to be rather unsatisfying at the end of the day, if you ask me. So, I don't know, maybe the fastest lap was a fun one. How about fastest pit stop?
Oh, okay.
Team and a bonus point if you can guess the time.
Fastest pit stop.
Oh, do you want not team drivers. So which driver has the fastest pit stop? And the bonus point is if you can guess the time.
So we're going for driver and not team.
Yeah.
Ooh. God, that's niching it down even further.
It is a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or would you rather go with team?
No, let's go with driver.
Okay.
Go on in. Who do you want?
Oh, don't have any stats on pit stops that I can easily find. We need to make sure we can find out what the result is. So this all might be a moot point if we can't. But I'm going to go with Red Bull.
Yeah.
With Ricciardo. And I'm going to say a 2.1.
2.1. Okay. Well, I'm going to go with Kimi Raikkonen. 2.2.
I'm going to give you an option to change your mind. And I'm only saying that because Ferrari have had the last 3 races, I think, have had issues with pit stops.
They have.
You sticking with your guns, though?
I am.
Okay, then.
I am. I'm sticking with that.
Fair play to you.
So we need to get the driver, and then for a bonus point, we have to get the time bang on the money.
Bang on the money. None of this. Well, we say none of this close to the pin. You can, within temps and stuff like that. So if it's a 2.1, blah, 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 that's fine. If it's 2.2, blah, 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 blah. So if it's a 2.19, I still get the point. If it's a 2.2 whatever, you get the point.
Yeah. Okay.
Only if you get the driver as well. Yeah.
That's fair play.
There you go. So yeah. Do you want to put in pencil just where do we think Van Dorn will finish, just in case we can't find out who had the fastest stop?
Okay, Van Dorn. Right.
This only comes into play if we can't find out who had the fastest pit stop.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
As we'll like to do. And I'm just going to say a DNF.
DNF. Okay. I'm going to say 10th. There we go.
There you go.
Good man. Right. Okay. Well, thank you to everyone who's listened to this epic length and season review or mid-season review cast. bless your little hearts for getting this far. But hopefully this will do you over for the next month.
Yeah, if you do it a bit piecemeal, kind of get you through.
Yeah. I will put it in the show notes. And I know you guys listening to it right now won't know that, but I ain't putting it out tonight. It's going to go out tomorrow night. So it'll be out Monday night instead of Sunday night.
Yeah, that's fine. We're welcome to do that. Yeah. He might have to do some editing because some rather inappropriate person was playing with a pen earlier. So, sorry about that.
No, don't worry about that. Just don't do it next time. That's all I say.
I won't. I can't reach it. It's over there now. It's out of the way.
Good man. Well, yeah, thank you to everyone who's listened to us. Andy, if they want to listen to us more, where can they go?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because aside from all the things that we do on Rogue2Media, which is rogue2.com, a fantastic little website for all your podcasting needs, you did join me good self, and we did do a talk about time travel.
Yeah.
All the ways that time is portrayed in films and media and fiction and stuff like that. And that's over at the Great Derelict podcast, which you can also find at rogue2.com and on iTunes and all good podcast catching places. You guys know how to use Google. You're grown ups. You can figure it out.
Exactly.
But yes, you can go and give that a listen. And that was the most entertaining evening of mind-bending time traveling stuff.
Yeah, I'm still hurting from it, but...
Yeah, a little bit.
It's all worth it. You can catch me on the Black Dog podcast as well. We are on holiday this week, but last week we did the Godzilla from 1998. Oh my God, I know. But if you like to listen to four idiots talking about, there's three idiots this time round, wasn't it? Three idiots talking about a big monster walking around Manhattan, then please pop over to Black Dog podcast at Black Dog Doc. Hang on, where is it?
The Black Dog Podcast
.com. There it is. Sorry. I totally forgot about it. It's this long podcast. It's drained me now. That's it. Yeah. I am done. That's why I'm going to bed now. Anyway, so
sorry about that. That was kind of my fault as well.
No, that's cool. Anyway, thank you to everyone who's listened. Please download back catalogues and stuff like that. Pop along to iTunes. Give us a fair rating if you want. And we'll see you in around about a month's time for the Belgian Grand Prix. So until then, thank you very much and goodbye.
See you later.
Especially if Ultraverne's got a problem because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap. So that's going to happen, isn't it?